Automotive. Welcome to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, the #1 resource for automotive sales professionals, managers, and owners to learn how to make money, accumulate wealth, and to all out ball out in the auto industry. And now your hosts, Sean V. Bradley and L.A. Williams.
1, 2, 3, 4, Automotive.
Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, president of Dealer Synergy and the creator of the Millionaire Car Salesman Group, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and the Millionaire Car Salesman Club on Clubhouse. Man, I've got a very, very special guest today. I got a dealer principal, I got an entrepreneur, I got a technology guy, Mr. Jim Thompson. Jim, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Sean, how are you? Doing great.
All right, man, what's up? So you were a dealer, right? You actually have a dealership. How long have you owned your dealership for?
Since I started my dealership in 1998, so it's been a while. I started buying and selling cars when I was in college, so
almost
I never
a quarter
quit.
century. Almost a quarter century.
Absolutely.
Right, a long time, and you've seen the evolution. But one of the reasons why I have you on the show is that not only are you a dealer principal and you own a car dealership, but you are into technology as well. And before you say anything, I want to say this. I see a lot of dealers evolving, Jim. Before, dealers that wanted to get wealthy, they would just buy more dealerships, hence the phrase dealer group. They have multiple dealerships. But what I've been seeing is a pattern of a lot of smart dealer principals that are now diving into the technology space. So tell me, you are a dealer principal, but you also own a technology company. Can you tell me what the name of the company is and what you guys do?
Yes, it's IQ Dealer Labs, and we provide a platform for dealer sales professionals and within dealerships to provide a concierge shopping experience for their customers, because it's all about providing customers something they can't get somewhere else.
Okay. Again, specifically, what does that mean, though? I understand.
So, okay, here's the gist. So, there's only two reasons a qualified customer doesn't buy a car from you. Either A, you don't have the right car in stock that meets their criteria, or B, they think they can get a better deal somewhere else. So the old game of just saying, hey, if they say, I'll take anything but black, and you pull around in a black car, is over. They have lots of options. So our platform lets dealerships, salespeople and BDC agents within the dealership create a car shopping cart. Think of it like your Amazon shopping cart for the customer. So any car that's on any dealer auction site, Manheim, Odessa, those sites, you can add those to the customer shopping cart for them to consider. And that's giving them options they can't get anywhere else. And also any car on third-party classified sites, Car Gurus, Auto Trader, you can compare those cars with what you have in stock, and like insurance companies do. I mean, there's a reason insurance companies do that. It keeps the customer engaged.
So I like what you said, that the two biggest challenges, or two of the biggest challenges, are, somebody that wants to buy a vehicle, they're ready to buy a vehicle, hell, they even need to buy a vehicle, but the vehicle's not available, and or they're not sure if they're getting a fair deal, right? So help me understand how this works. So if somebody goes, let's say it's me, I go onto your website, right, for abcmotors.com, and I reach out to you, okay? And I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a pre-owned car. I'm looking for a 2020 Ford F-150 black, 4x4, extended cab, etc. And that vehicle's not in stock. So tell me how the dealership.
So I'm glad you brought up the Ford F-150. And any dealer watching this, or salesperson, I'd like for you to try this experiment. So first of all, I'm like everyone else. I want to sell you a car that we have in stock today, period. But if you start to disengage, the car was sold, it doesn't have the right packages or something, we close 10, 12% of our leads. What happens to the other 85, 90%? Most of them are going to buy a car somewhere. So how can we provide the customer a service to keep them engaged with us? So what we're going to do is we're going to look on, Manheim, Odessa. We're going to qualify the customer first. If it's a repeat customer, that's a little different. But if it's a new customer, say, Mr. Customer, we're going to get you qualified. And if we don't have the car in stock, we can find it for you. Typically most dealers have a, vehicle locator form they fill out, a long form. This is what I'm looking for. But dealers really don't take advantage of that because there's not an easy process. So as a dealer, I can log into Manheim or OVE or ADESA, these sites, and they have something called a retail view that's designed to show customers the cars that you don't own. But very few dealers take advantage of it. It's a little bit cumbersome. So what you can do with our software, any car on those sites with one click, you can add it to a shopping cart created specifically for that customer. So I'd say, Sean, here's the F-150s we have in stock. I'm going to put those in your cart. There's a couple of them. They don't exactly meet what you're looking for, but here are 3 more that we can buy for you if you get qualified to buy with us, and we'll buy exactly what you're looking for. And we stop there. We check the customer engagement. Are they engaging with the platform? Are they open to this? Then what happens oftentimes is, yeah, Jim, that's great, but those trucks are really expensive. And I was on Car Gurus and I found this great deal. It says great deal right there. So it's true. So on this F-150 Lariat, exactly what I'm looking for. So we co-shop with the customer. We say, well, tell us about the car. So we log in, we look at the truck with them. And the challenge is, if you'll have, anyone watching this, go on Auto Trader or Car Gurus, do a 100-mile radius search from your zip code, select Lariat as the trim level on a F-150, sort by price, and see which one's the cheapest. And I guarantee you the top 2 or 3 cheapest Lariats are XLTs. They're not Lariats. So by just, buying a car is a daunting task for a consumer because there's no real sense of, they don't trust us. So by providing that customer a little bit of dealer insight, industry expertise, you've saved them a lot of money and time by educating them. And that's what today's customer needs.
Okay, so now, Jim, this makes a lot of sense. What are some of the challenges or pushbacks from dealers doing this? Because this sounds like common sense on what to do, but why aren't dealers doing this?
Because most dealers are antiquated. Their processes are get the customer to come in today and buy a car we have in stock today. But customers have choices they didn't have 10 years ago. Dealers have to adapt. I mean, the customer can sit on their couch, find the car that they want, and get it delivered to their house and never get off, never on their phone. So my thoughts are dealers have to leverage their biggest asset, which is, their employees, industry experts, and listen to what a customer actually wants. I mean, that's very important is listening to the customer. I mean, Elon Musk says today's customer wants to be educated, not sold. So that's what dealers have to do. We as forward-thinking dealers have to educate the consumer that also not only is the car they want available somewhere else if we don't have it, but that those great deals you see on these third-party classified sites might not be great deals if you dive into them a little deeper. And with some dealers adding $5,000 to $10,000 in fees on top of their advertised price, all of this is relevant because price isn't always the price you pay, and customers need to know that.
Absolutely. So I want to reverse engineer this. I'm going to say a power statement here is that one of, if not the biggest problem in the entire automotive industry right now in the first quarter of 2022 is inventory. That's the number one issue that's plaguing the entire country right now is because of the chip shortage, because of the lack of new car inventory, it is shooting up the prices, at sticker or over sticker for new vehicles. And since there's such a shortage of new vehicles, used vehicles are harder to come by and they're more expensive. Do you agree with that statement?
100%. I mean, I believe used car prices rose, 46% in 2021. It's crazy.
It is absolutely crazy that there are used cars that are 3-4 years old that are over sticker. I'm talking about like used Tellurides, for example, or over sticker on new car prices. So that's the current situation analysis. Okay. So that is the reality that we're living in the automotive industry in 2022. However, okay, what I do as a trainer, as a consultant, is I need to be able to find ways to be able to help dealers and automotive professionals sell cars, no matter what the conditions are. So my mind is this, okay, if there's a shortage of new cars, there's nobody I know right now in the world that says, you know what, I got a shit ton of inventory right now. We got cars for days. That's not real. So since there is a deficiency, a scarcity of new vehicles, my trainer mind is pretty simple. Okay, we need to pivot and become predominantly used car dealers. Okay, yeah, if you're a franchise dealer, you still want to sell, franchise vehicles, but the reality is they're not as in abundance or available like used cars. So now, in my opinion, the dealers that have the best reality right now are used car dealers, independent dealers, or franchise dealers that had a strong used car business. Would you agree with that statement?
100%. You have to excel on the pre-owned side.
Okay, so now you own, for almost a quarter century, an independent dealership, correct?
Yes.
So you were intentionally or unintentionally designed for this type of market. You are equipped because this is your day-to-day life for the last 3.5 years, correct?
That is absolutely correct, Sean. I mean, it's all about the acquisition. So it's not easy to buy used cars either. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you have to chase a lot to catch one. But when you catch one, grosses are still great. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice position to be in.
Let's go to acquisition in a second. Let's finish this right here. So I believe, and I'm just setting you up with these questions for our audience, is that if you want to be successful, you either need to have a very strong inventory, which we're going to skip this part right here. We're talking about that in the next section, which is the acquisition side of things. But whether you have a large inventory of pre-owned vehicles or you don't, for a second, let's leave that there. The reality is this: if you don't have a car in stock, right, we need to figure out what to do, because the days of let me write it down that, your wish list or the hope list doesn't make sense. That's what I want you to talk about right now for this section, is that a lot of dealers are still, just taking down what people's wants or wishes are, and then they're stored it. And just in case it magically shows up, then they'll call the person back. I believe this is a stupid strategy. What say you?
I mean, 100%. It is the most antiquated part of the car industry right now. We have digital retailing, which is, obviously great. But if you don't have a car to digitally retail, what good does it do? So how do I keep you, the consumer, engaged with me and keep them from going on AutoTrader, Car Gurus, or another dealer's site, or God forbid, Carvana or Vroom, and buying a car? I'm going to say, Sean, this F-150 you want is available. We just don't have it today. So let me tell you what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to create this shopping cart. I'm going to put the truck that you want in this shopping cart. Now, we don't own it, but we can find it. So instead of just hypothetically telling them about the truck that they might get, how about you getting an email that says, hey, you've got a new truck in your shopping cart, and it's actual pictures, descriptions, everything you want. I mean, isn't that better than saying we're going to call you back if we ever get it in? I believe so.
It's funny, back in the day, because I've been in the industry 23 years myself, right? And back in the day, we used to have like a sarcasm statement called, the used car factory. And what happened is, we used it all the time. Somebody came in and the vehicle didn't exist. They're like, yeah, what are you going to do? Go to the used car factory? I didn't say that, but other people said that stuff. Or I love this one, is that they'll come in and they'll say that Kelley Blue Book said this car is worth this. And they would say, well, have Kelley Blue Book cut you a check. And so the reason why I'm saying is that if we take a negative sarcastic statement and we actually internalize it, what you're saying is that we can literally become the used car factory. I'm going to repeat that. What you're saying with your strategy, we become the used car factory in the essence that if somebody is looking for a particular vehicle, yes, I concur. Our number one goal is to sell an in-stock unit of a vehicle that we can max gross within now. That is absolutely the strategy. I'm not saying, for anybody listening, don't get confused that, hey, if somebody comes in, it's like Burger King, have it your way, let's make a wish. No, we try to sell first and always first from in stock. However, if we've exhausted those options, okay, if we go from a new car to a used car, if we go from a CPO to a pre-owned, if we go from a different make to a different make, a different model to a different model, if we've exhausted all those options and the prospect says, nope, 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 you don't have what I want, there's only two choices. Choice number one, which is stupid, I'll let you know right now, is you let them out the door or off the phone, off the email, and you just hope that you're going to get them back. Or you turn around and you have a plan on how you can actually get what they're looking for. Now, this plan, you have a process with them and how to do it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I promise you what, you're never going to turn around and hit home runs if you don't take swings at the bat. Would you agree?
I agree 100%, Sean. And what happens is, even when you tell me you're wanting an F-150, and I've got a couple in stock, but they don't meet your criteria for some reason. When I show you what else is out there and available, and more importantly, I show you what they cost, a lot of times you will circle around and buy the car that I have in inventory that you didn't want 10 minutes ago, but I kept you engaged. So if you want an Lariat, loaded up, roof, 4-wheel drive, big motor, everything, and low miles, and a clean Carfax, and you look at what those trucks are bringing in today's market, you might second guess yourself, do I really want that? Or am I going to take this one that's not quite exactly what I want, but can take delivery today? But if you don't keep that customer engaged, you're going to lose them to someone. I mean, I've heard you say this 1,000 times. Get the prospect to like you, trust you, and believe you, and he will buy from you. So by keeping them engaged with other options and also comparing cars that they found on other dealer sites and pointing out that, hey, that Lariat is an XLT, they're going to like you, trust you, and believe you, and you'll sell them a car.
Mm. So again, because this will be played in the Millionaire Car Salesman group, but it's also going to be just on audio. So people are not going to be able to see this, just going to hear this. So I want to go this one more time. I'm going to give you a couple scenarios, Jim. Okay. In your vision, let's just say that I have an internet department or a BDC. Okay. I have 15, 18 people in the BDC. We're getting thousands of leads a month and we're following up with people. So let's just go through it. If I am the BDC rep and you're the prospect, and I basically, you sent me from, let's just go from autoweb.com. You sent me an internet purchase request on a 2022 Ford F-150 from, autoweb.com. I reach out to you, and the reality is there aren't any brand new Ford F-150s in stock. And then I basically go through with you what pre-owned that I have. You're open to a pre-owned, but not any that I have in stock. Okay, so that's the scenario.
Right.
So tell me exactly how I should handle it. If I've qualified you the right way, I've built a rapport, I've identified your wants, wishes, expectations, I've exhausted every option, and where we're at right now is that I don't have anything new or pre-owned in stock. So tell me how I should handle you, the prospect, from that point.
All right, what you should do is you say, Mr. Customer, I'm going to create a shopping cart for you. It's kind of like your Amazon shopping cart. It's a place to create like a short list of items that you're thinking about purchasing. You're not ready to buy yet, but it's a short list, something manageable. So what I'm going to do is, Sean, I know we don't have exactly what you're looking for, but let's put what we have that closely fits your criteria into your cart. Then I'm going to reach out to someone within my organization that has auction access, probably a used car manager or a buyer for the group, and say, hey, I've got Sean V. Bradley. He's a repeat customer. He's real. He's qualified. He's a buyer. This is what he wants. We don't have it. So within 2 minutes, they can do a quick search on Manheim, Odessa, different dealer sites, find vehicles that are upcoming auctions or on OBE that meets his criteria. We've got your email address. And with one click through our platform, we can take that truck
Question.
and put in your shopping cart.
I'm going to interrupt because I understand that part. So if I understand like this, I'm going to say something like, Jim, we don't have what you have in stock or what you're looking for in stock. However, we have access to a tremendous amount of inventory. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to kind of see what's available that meets your needs. So my question to you, Jim, is this: do I do this over Zoom? You know what I mean? Because if I'm just on the phone, do I say, hey, let me show you, or do I just keep them on the phone and then I just look without them seeing? Because I think personally that if I was able to show them what I see, it would build more trust in the transparency of it and more credibility. So in your vision and your strategy, do you actually, show them on the screen, you going through the process of searching, or no?
Oh, absolutely. It's like setting up a virtual appointment. So within our software, we have a one-click screen share. So it's not Zoom because, Zoom can be complicated.
I was just using Zoom because everybody
sure.
But no, so you have screen share. Okay, good.
Yeah. So me as the dealer, again, am I the dealer or am I the customer? What do you want me to be today or right now?
I know it's confusing. If you're explaining how to do this, I'd say you're the dealer. If you're explaining how to do it.
Sure. So I'm going to say, Sean, check your email. I just sent you a screen share link. You can use your mobile or desktop, doesn't matter. All you have to do is view screen share. You don't have to download any software. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to select audio or not audio. I'm going to keep you on the phone. Then I'm going to log in to different dealer-only websites. And I'm going to let you co-shop with me on what's available. And obviously there's a retail view on these sites that hides condition report, hides the price. But if it's like on an OVE, but I'm going to share that with you anyway, because prices are high. We're going to let you see what we actually have to pay for these cars. And by the time you add auction fees, transportation, recon, then we'll say, you know what, I'm going to charge you a 5% flat over what we pay. And you can decide whether you want to buy it or not. That's the deal.
Here, I love this and I agree. I want to add one other thing to this though. I'm going to go circle back. Let's just go through the scenario again. I'm Sean Bradley. I'm the BDC rep. I'm the salesperson from ABC Motors. Okay. You are Jim Thompson. You are the prospect on this F-150. You sent me an internet purchase request from autoweb.com. I reach out, I call you, I engage you, I qualify you. We ascertain that we don't have the vehicle in stock. Here's the only thing I'm going to add to your system that you said, or your idea, that I just want to kind of modify just a little bit. Here's the thing that I think that people forget is that people don't buy cars every day. And I think what really screws up dealers is because they sell cars every day, they get jaded. I mean, they really do, with the fact that they sell cars every day. They need to remember that people don't buy cars every day, which means they don't understand what our process is. If you think about it, if you've been watching Blockbuster for years and years and years, or a decade and a half, and you've got all those Be Kind Rewind, you know what I mean, like notifications, you get fined for not rewinding your tape. You get used to, like, that's how you watch movies, is you go to the Blockbuster store, you get the stupid tape, you stick it in, and you gotta, oh, damn it, they forgot to rewind it. And you gotta wait 2 minutes to rewind the tape or whatever. My point being is that explaining to somebody Netflix or Hulu is kind of like, oh, it sounds crazy. That would never happen. Well, again, that's the same analogy here. We've got to think of things differently. We've got to set expectations to say something like this. Hey, Jim, when was the last time you purchased a vehicle? And if it was normally like 3 or 5 years ago, which is still about average, I would say, Jim, the world's changed a lot. You'd have to agree, in just the last 2 years alone, never mind 5 years since you bought a vehicle. So I'm not sure if you know how the car buying process works. At least for us, it has evolved dramatically. What we like to do is make this extremely easy, is the first thing. Second, make this extremely transparent so you have all the information, all the details. And then 3, we want to get you exactly what you're looking for. So Jim, I want to just show this right now. It is impossible to stock every single vehicle, every single model, every single option, every single color, and we don't try to. What we do as a dealership is that we have inventory, but you got to realize on a daily basis, we are selling cars, we're trading cars, people are selling us their cars, so we're buying cars. And then on top of all of that, we have such transparency with technology. Again, we've got special proprietary software that's not open to the public that lets us see all the vehicles, whether they're from the manufacturers, from the auctions, from other dealerships, from companies like Auto Trader and Car Gurus. We have access to all the inventory. And what I'm going to do is basically just ask you some other questions, like further qualifying you to identify exactly your wants, wishes, and needs. And then I'm going to be able to show you, as I see it in real time, what actually exists, where it exists, and exactly what it is. And from there, we could find the car of your dreams. How does that sound, Jim?
That sounds great, Sean. You know, I went to Blockbuster the other day.
There's only one.
They weren't there.
Yeah.
They weren't there. There's one left in Alaska, I believe. So,
Yes.
so let me talk about Blockbuster just a second.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Attention auto dealers, you need an opportunity to do business. AutoWeb is one of the largest suppliers of high quality leads, high quality buyers. At a 10% closing ratio, you will be at less than $190 per car sold. Don't just settle for what you get. AutoWeb can fully customize your results through targeted markets and/or zip codes, and as a partner, you will get premium placement within search results. Who better to do that than literally the people that invented automotive internet sales? If you want to sell more cars more often and more profitably, then you need AutoWeb.
So Blockbuster was a $5 billion company. And we all remember the day, you know, you had your date, your wife, your whatever, you wanted to watch a movie, you want a new release. So, you know, date night, you go to Blockbuster, you get there, you go back on the wall, the new releases, and you're looking behind the DVD things and they're gone. Everyone's gone. So what do? You jump in your car, you drive to another Blockbuster to see if they have it in stock. And dealers are still treating their customers this way. You know, if this dealer doesn't have it in stock, they go, let's drive to this one. But guess what? This little company called Netflix came along and said, hey, we got a big selection and we're going to mail you a DVD. You know, you'll get it within 2 days, plan ahead, and it's going to be there. And Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix for $100 million. And they said, they're not a threat. Okay. Blockbuster was wrong. And if we don't, as dealers, give our customers a better selection and transparency, then we're going to be gone as well.
So I love this because I think this is a huge thing, because we need inventory, which is half of this, and we get into acquisition conversation in a couple minutes. But in addition to us acquiring more vehicles at a better price more frequently, we need to be able to be skilled to sell even if it's not in stock. You know, if a customer wants something specific, it is our responsibility to try to get them something that's going to meet and exceed all of their expectations and have them get a great deal. We want them to come back over and over again. So to go through this one more time for the people that in the bleachers, right, that are listening. Okay, what we're talking about is having a very strong strategy, not just philosophy or strategy or rhetoric, but also software and technology that this makes us real. It's not just vaporware. It's not just a figment of our imagination. We will have the ability that if we engage a prospect and we've tried first to sell an in-stock vehicle, and if we've exhausted every possibility, every rebuttal, every contingency, and they still do not want to buy something that we have in stock, instead of just hoping or wishing that they come back or waiting until we magically get something that might fit their needs, what we're going to do in real time is proactively try to find, metaphorically speaking, from the used car factory. There is no such thing, but we're just going to just joke around and say the used car factory. That's the auctions, the manufacturers, the online classifieds, other dealerships, inventories, etc. A vehicle might exist. And what we're going to be able to do is help identify this vehicle, help them, see if this is a vehicle they do want to secure. And then if they do, here's the next problem I have if I'm a dealer. Okay, Mr. Jim, Mr. Dealer Principal, Mr. Tech Entrepreneur, Mr. Jim. Okay, so you got me convinced. I'm doing this stuff. How the hell do I get these vehicles? Okay, so then there's a transportation issue of, okay, so where's the vehicle? How are we getting the car? So I know that there's companies that specialize in almost like Uber-like services. They were at my IS20G conference, like shipmycar.com. Now, do you have, like, tell us what your stores do. And let's say we find the vehicle, there's gotta be, that's only one part. That's the locator aspect. Where's the vehicle? Yes. Talk me through, like, are these at wholesale? Because if I find the vehicle at somebody's lot and it's at a dealer's lot, you know, they're trying to get retail for it. So walk us through what the reality is. What's the profit margin if these vehicles are at the auction or they're at another dealership's lot? Talk me through that.
Let me speak to the auction part first, because that's where we buy most of our cars. So it depends on where you are as the consumer and what's important to you. So are you wanting the car fully reconditioned? Most of the cars we buy, we specialize in off-lease BMWs. We're one of 35 VIP dealers in the country. So we're an independent, but BMW selected about 35 dealers to give early access to their off-lease inventory through the BMW Group Direct platform. So what we can do is, like, so for example, we had a customer in California looking for a BMW i3. We had 10 or 12 in stock, but not exactly what they wanted. So we bought the car for them at an auction in California. We posted it on Central Dispatch and had the car delivered to their house, and it never came back to Atlanta. So, you know, we did a, retail contract. We actually, we use Car Now for some of our digital retailing tools. But without even putting this car into inventory, we were able to sell the car to the customer and have it delivered to their house 100%, remotely.
That's
now, it is, but let me tell you about another customer that we had. This is the whole genesis of this product that we developed. I took a sales lead. My manager was on vacation a few years ago, and I was filling in at the store. And I took a sales lead on a BMW, had a phone call, a BMW 328 diesel. And the guy said, "Hey, do you have this car in stock?" He gave me the stock number. He's very specific. And I said, "Let me check." And it's showing up on our website. So one of the other guys on our team said, no, Jim, that car's sold. I took a deposit this morning. It's a repeat customer. He's picking it up tomorrow. So I get back on the phone. I'm telling the customer, sorry, that one's unavailable. Being the good car guy that I am, let me switch him. Let me tell him about these other two diesels, 328 diesels we have. He said, nope, I've already seen them. I've got to have a sports package. And he basically said, I hate that. I've got a Passat. I'm turning back for Dieselgate next month. I know exactly what I want. And I guess I'm going to have to get back on Auto Trader and try to find it. And I knew that I'm going to hang up on a car deal, and I didn't want to lose him. So I said, Mr. Customer, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I do a lot of buying for the dealership, and the car you want is out there. I just don't have it in stock. So I did a screen share with the guy. I said, I'll tell you what, let's co-shop what's available to me. There were probably 25 cars that met his criteria online at dealer-only auction sites. We co-shopped. I picked the car he wanted. I'm in Atlanta. He's in South Carolina. I said, do you want the car delivered to your house, or do you want to have it reconned? It needed a couple tires, a bumper painted, and, just typical recon stuff. He said, no, I want you to recon the car. We had the car delivered to Atlanta. We made money on the car. We made money on the shipping. We made money on the recon. We made money on the financing. And this was a deal that I would have lost had I not kept that customer engaged. And he was thrilled because he said, finally, someone listened to what I wanted. I appreciate it.
So I think that to me, this is like just common sense, but common sense isn't so common in our industry or yes, in the world. I'll give an example. AutoWeb says, and by the way, I'm going to source, AutoWeb has sold 100 million plus cars. I'm going to repeat that. Over 100 million vehicles have been purchased through AutoWeb's program in the last 26, going on 27 years. And that's a lot of people buying cars. So their data is strong. They probably have about like 5,000 or 6,000 on their program. They said that, you ready for this? About 50% of dealers, so we're talking about 3,000 to 4,000 dealers, do not even bother calling their leads back within the first 48 hours. So I'm like, how the hell are we in a global pandemic? We are in an inventory crisis, yada, 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 and we don't even call people back. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is not random, is to just say is that when I hear what you're saying, to me, it's like basic common sense. If we don't have something that they're looking for, don't just let them out the door. I mean, for the love of God, the amount of time it takes, days, weeks, or months to finally get somebody on the internet to engage. JD Power says it takes an average of 9 to 11 attempts before the first engagement when you're following up with an internet prospect. So if we're reaching out to people, we're following up daily, weekly, monthly, we're spending all this money on marketing, advertising, and HR and technology and CRMs and all this shit. We're doing all this stuff, Jim, right? And then we finally get the person on the phone, and just because we don't have it in stock, be like, okay, and let them go. It is the dumbest thing that I have heard, is why would we turn around and go through all of that, get a fish, metaphorically speaking, no disrespect, on the hook. They're there. They're not just in the water circling the bait. They're on the damn hook. They're on the phone talking. They're like, I want to buy a car. I want to buy a car. I want to buy a car. Think about all the bullshit that we deal with, and people that are kicking tires and doing research. They can't afford it. They got bad credit, got no credit. We got somebody that is qualified, that wants to buy. And then we say, we don't got anything. Sorry. We'll keep you in mind. We'll call you when we get something. Why? Why do they do this?
Sean, is absolutely asinine. I mean, you're thinking like a dealer principal, like I think, because, you know, do you know how much money we spend every month to generate leads? I mean, oh, well, and everyone says, oh, you need more leads, you need more leads, you need more leads. I said, I don't want more leads. I don't want more clicks. I want more sales. I want to close a higher percentage of the leads we get. So, because if you can do that, your HR costs go down. You have fewer employees, fewer leads. And then you have raving customers. The best customers are your repeat customers and your referrals. I mean, you can check us out. Go to IQ, just Google IQautos. We're 4.9 stars on Google, and we're the #1 dealer on Yelp in Metro Atlanta. I mean, that's huge. Yelp, you can't fake Yelp reviews. I mean, are you serious?
Yeah.
No dealer wants to mention the word Yelp, but check us out. That's because we actually do what we say we're going to do. And we're small. We're not a huge dealer group, but customers love us. And if big dealer groups can incorporate this concierge platform, this whole concept, whether they use our software or not, it doesn't matter. If they can basically do a paradigm shift and think, how can we serve this customer and in a non-adversarial way, they're going to reap huge benefits.
Okay, so let's go to the last section here I want to talk about is you mentioned acquisition. So we talked about for the majority of our conversation was being able to first have the mindset, and the second, the resources to be able to engage a prospect on a vehicle that they don't have in stock at the dealership, and be able to try to find an alternate solution somewhere through the network using this shopping cart, this Amazon-like shopping cart, and this locator type service. And I got that part, okay? But I'm also intrigued on, you know, as a used car guru that you are, what are your ideas or strategies how a dealership could acquire more used vehicles?
I mean, obviously, buying off the street is a big thing right now. If you can, reach out to your customer database and buy cars that you've, already sold them in the past, that's a great source.
How do you do that? And again, this is for our listeners. So walk me through that. So if I'm a dealership, independent, franchise, whatever, I've sold lots of cars. You know what I mean? Even if I only average 100 cars a month, if I sold 1,200 vehicles last year, and even if I've only been in business for 3 years, that's almost 4,000. That's 3,600 vehicles I've sold. You're saying to go to our database, our DMS or CRM, and target those people for acquisitions. Can you give me an example of an acquisition campaign? Give me an example of an acquisition strategy. What do I say? How do I say it? Who do I say it to?
Well, you reach out to your customers and say, hey, whether it's through I don't want to say email blast, that's a little antiquated, but you can send out an email and see what responses you get. Hey, your car is worth more than you think, and we want it. Option. That's one option. BDC reps, salespeople, they can get a list of cars that, go to their customers, look in the database and say, hey, I need to shoot this guy a text. Hey, do you still need that car? Do you still want it? We're ready to buy your inventory. And it's really simple. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. And because some people get cars with their corporate job and they've got one sitting around, they're not really driving it. They're paying insurance on it. Maybe they're still making car payment. And it's a way for them to get out of that, probably with some equity right now. And when does that ever happen before? That's one way. And I'll tell you this, it's not going to happen 2 years from now when these dealers are charging customers 10 grand over sticker. They're not going to have any equity in that vehicle 2 years from now. So you better get it now. You better get these vehicles now while, vehicle prices are at an all-time high.
I'm gonna as a trainer, I'm gonna clean that up a little bit. I love that, but there's two ways that you can do this based on what Jim just said. So the first way is I could go back to all my people. So I could do this by model. I could run into my CRM, I could run a query and tell me anybody in the last 3 years that I sold an F-150 to, a truck, anybody I sold a sedan, anybody I sold an SUV to. So I could do it by model. I could turn around and do it by 4-wheel drive. I could do it by, color. I could search my inventory and then basically, and how would I do that? Whatever I'm weak in. If I'm a dealership and I've got low SUVs, or if I've got low pickup trucks, or I've got low minivans, I could turn around and go to who I sold to last year, or hell, last month, last quarter, last year, last 2 years, last 5 years, last decade, whatever, and I could proactively reach out to them. That's strategy one. Strategy two, which I like that I heard you say, I don't know if you meant to say it, but what I got out of it was I could turn around and look at what people want now. So if somebody's looking for a specific vehicle, I could turn around and just go into my database. So I'm almost using my CRM or DMS as a vehicle locator. So if somebody's looking for a black, Nissan Rogue, 4x2, whatever, right? I could turn around and go into my database and try to find a black Nissan Rogue 4x2, and then try to convince that person to sell me that vehicle or trade out of that vehicle. Hell, by doing that, I might turn this into a 2-car deal. Let me explain. Let's say Jim Thompson was looking for a 2022 black Nissan Rogue 4x2. And so I don't have one in stock. That's the only thing he wants. Whatever reason, he's got some nostalgia to it. He wants that vehicle. So here I am trying to sell that one vehicle. But if I go to my database and I find, let's just say a Nissan Rogue from 2020, I'll go call Jim and say, Jim, listen, I might have found something. It's not brand new, but I could get you a hell of a deal on it. And if Jim gives me even a remote green light, let's see what we got, then I could go to Mr. Customer, the one that owns it, and I could say, hey, listen, I could get you more for your vehicle than it's worth. I want to buy that vehicle. And yeah, if I buy it, then at least I make that deal with Jim. But if I trade this guy or this girl out of their Nissan Rogue and get them into another one, I just turned a locate into a 2-car deal. Jim, have you done that before?
I mean, absolutely. We will reach out to our customer database and say, hey, we just bought back, well, it's not a 2-car deal yet, but we're searching for the other car, but we just bought back a BMW convertible that we sold a guy a few years ago. And now he's wanting a Jeep Wrangler. So we're still trying to find him the right Wrangler that meets his criteria, but his trade-in's back on the way, to our store. So, that's good inventory to have going into spring. So absolutely, we live, whether we sell it to someone that we have currently looking for a convertible, or if we hold on to it. it's great inventory. And that's a car that we didn't have to pay an auction fee on. We know the customer, we know it's been serviced, and it's just a great way to buy cars.
Okay, perfect. All right. I'm loving this. Okay. In addition to that, a couple other ideas is one of my clients, what they do is they partner with the local power sports. Anybody that's got, Kawasaki, Ski-Doos, whether they're jet skis, their little ATVs, their Vespas, motorcycles, RVs, because again, if you think about it, people use cars to buy motorcycles, ATVs, RVs, and things like that. And that's not their core competency. And so if they had a connection with a dealer that would put as much money as possible on it in real time, this will give these companies more fluidity. It'll give them more opportunity to close deals for their core products. So I'm going to tell you, I've got some clients that have a ton of business just by partnering with local motorsports and RV and motorcycle companies. Have you heard that idea before?
I have not. I think that's a fabulous idea, but I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah, but doesn't that make sense though? Because I mean, if you
makes perfect sense.
If you're a Harley Davidson dealer, right? And somebody wants to buy a Harley and they want to trade in their car, again, to be safe, if you're not a car dealer and you don't sell cars, you're gonna only look at book value and give a certain margin of a trade-in price to that person trying to buy the motorcycle. But if you've got my cell phone number, and I'm the used car buyer at my organization, I could step up, because I need that used car. And so here's what I would say is everybody listening to this, think about the FBI and the CIA, and the Navy SEALs. They use informants. Right? That's what they do. That's how they infiltrate cartels and terrorist cells and everything in between, right? Is they've got informants all over the place. They got undercover agents, they got contract agents, they got confidential informants, whatever. Dealers need informants. Dealers need agents all out there. You know what I mean? Like their dealership is the hub. It's like Langley to the CIA. That's like, the Pentagon to the military. The dealership is that. You could get people to come there and try to sell you their vehicle. And in addition to that strategy, you want to get people all over from RVs, motorcycles, ATVs, Ski-Doos, Kawasaki's, Vespas, whatever that's there. The more people that you have, out there trying to offer you vehicles, the more successful you're going to be. The other thing I'm going to say is you got to advertise for this, man. You can't just advertise that you want to sell cars, sell and service, and you don't advertise buying cars. Look at CarMax, right? CarMax is amazing. They don't ever advertise that they sell cars. The only thing that they advertise is that we buy used cars. We buy used cars. We buy used cars. We buy used cars. But they're also one of the largest sellers of vehicles in the country. You know what I mean? But their marketing is, we want to buy your car. I want your car. I want your car. We're going to buy your car. And so dealers wonder why they don't buy cars from the public. Well, does the public know that you want to buy their car? Are you screaming it louder and over and over and over again? If the answer is no, then you got to step it up. Jim, what do you say?
I say we did exactly what you're talking about, letting customers know that we buy cars. We changed on our website from our trade appraisal. We call it, we will buy, trade, or consign your car. And we just created a simple Google form that lets the customer fill it out. And we're getting a lot of engagement with that simply from being on our website, besides any marketing we may do in social media.
Man, I love this. This is a great conversation about used cars and how to truly understand, how to be successful with used cars in the dealership. So if a dealer's got any questions or they're interested in this, can they get a hold of you?
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, you can call me. I'll give you my cell phone, call, text, whatever. I'd love to talk to you. It's 770-615-2116. Again, 770-615-2116. You can check me out on LinkedIn. Again, my name's Jim Thompson, and you can find me at IQ Jim on LinkedIn. and or visit my website, IQautos.com, or if you want to learn more about our software platform, go to IQdealerlabs.com, and I'll be glad to personally talk to you.
Awesome. Well, Jim, I'm going to give you the last word. Is there anything you'd like to close out with our podcast and our audience? Is there anything you'd like them to know or say, or last words of wisdom?
Listen to the customer. Listen to what the customer wants. Listen to their needs and find out how to fulfill their needs. That's it. Listen to your customers. Be the customer. If you were in their shoes, what could you provide them?
I love it. Listen, Jim, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and your experience with our audience. And I look forward to, bringing you back on the show and sharing more in the future. Okay.
Sounds great.
So there you have it, the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast. This podcast comes to you every week from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you have a question about the show or would like the chance to become a guest, feel free to contact us directly at 856-546-2440 or email us at millionairecarsalesman@gmail.com. This program is a presentation of Synergy Records, produced by Tiana Mick and L.A. Williams. Production and engineering by L.A. Williams. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is hosted every week by L.A. Williams and the Millionaire Car Salesman himself, Sean V. Bradley. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast can be found everywhere, so please don't forget to review, subscribe to, and share the show. Thanks for listening to the Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast, and remember, where I'm from, money provides options. The Millionaire Car Salesman Podcast is sponsored in part by Autoweb. If you enjoyed this podcast, then make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and leave us a review. Let some other folks know about it. Oh, and don't forget to join the Millionaire Car Salesman group on Facebook. We'll see you there.